Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.wordpress.com. Thank you very much for joining me again today for another card making tutorial. And today I'm going to show you how to make this really simple birthday card using a variety of Stampin Up products. My sentiment has come from this stamp set called Many Mates, which is one of our retiring sets. It's a great shame that that's going, but that's where we're getting our sentiment from, and we're going to be stamping in Night of Navy ink for that. So that's all there. I'm also going to bring in the a couple of sets of dies. So I've got Playful Alphabet. This is a carrying over set, which is fabulous. Currently this is part of a suite of products which includes this wonderful designer series paper and the Playing with Patterns stamp set, which is really fabulous. So if you are interested in getting that and you're interested in the stamp set, do check that out too. And then my super duper favourite dies in the world are the Stitch So Sweetly dies. So we're going to be using these guys to cut our topper on that card. So that was the number 2 and number 3, when if you count from the outside, those are the ones that we're going to use today. And I think because it's got a scalloped edge, I think people think it's a little bit more feminine, but I think it works just great on this card too. So it's going to be very simple, just a bit of die cutting to do, and we'll just get cracking. Okay, so I've already pre-cut stuff. Okay, so we are replicating the card exactly as. So I've actually got a Coastal Cabana card base here that I'm just going to layer with some basic white. So my usual card layers when I'm just putting on a card front, this is going to be 4 inches wide by 5 3/4 high, and it just gives us that little peek of the cardstock colour underneath there. This piece of cardstock, now we could flip it over, I guess, but it's a bit contrasty. I don't know whether I'm brave enough to go with the Calypso Coral layer there, but this is a 3-inch strip of paper, so it will be 4 inches wide, and it's a 3-inch piece. This is essentially using up some scraps, to be honest with you. So we're just going to line that up with the edge of that piece of paper there and lay that down. Okay, and then I've got a 1.5-inch strip of some paper in the same collection, and another piece of Coastal Cabana. So both of those are 4 inches wide again. The DSP is 1.5 inches wide, and I'm layering it onto the cardstock, which is 1 3/4 inches. So again, we get a little pop of the Coastal Cabana coming through on there. Just want to tidy up the edge of that a little bit. Now let's grab some scissors. Just tidy up that edge ever so slightly. Even though you cut it on a trimmer, sometimes there's just a hint of inaccuracy, you know, just depending on where you line it up on your trimmer. Is it bang on the line? Is it next to the line? So again, we're just going to stick that on flat. Getting that, I mean, you could offset that as well if you wanted to. I'm just going to keep it sort of in the middle of that 3-inch strip there. That looks about straight and level. So card base done. Really easy. Just layering strips of coordinating designer series paper in this instance. Now, you know, like I say, we could have flipped that over and brought in a contrasting colour. So you can play around with colour with your designer series paper, and do what you feel. But this is essentially layered cardstock and paper. Very, very simple to create. And once you've got a formula like this, what you put on top of it can be customized accordingly. So a bit of die cutting to do then. So we've got our two little layers, which are going to be super easy to do. I'm just going to put these to one side just for a second. So our small one is going to be the in fact, let's stamp that first, because that'll be easier to line it all up. And then I've got a piece of Coastal Cabana, which is just big enough for that one, so just put that one to the side. Yeah, before we die cut that, I'm going to stamp my sentiment, so that then I can put the die over the top and know it's going to fit inside. So I'm just going to yeah, and be level, okay, rather than trying to stamp it level within the die cut. So let's just push that down. So did you see light tapping on the ink pad? You don't want to go pressing hard on your ink. Light tap. Coat your stamp with the ink. Press straight down, firm pressure, and just hold it still for a couple of seconds. Lift straight off, and you get a beautiful crisp stamped image. And that was with Night of Navy. Now, because we are aiming to hopefully get this something like straight, I'm going to use a little bit of low tack tape to secure that to that piece of cardstock. Okay, don't need to do that with this one. We'll just run it through. And we're just going to show you, in case you've not used the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, the machine will come with all the plates that you need to use it. Okay, so there is a base platform, which is the number 1. Okay, you then get this thin plate number 2, which is the one you will use with your die cutting. Okay, and then you will need 2 number 3 plates. Now they will have 3s on them, but a few of them left the warehouse without the printed number, but they would have a number 3 on them. The other plate you get in your box, which if I just grab out of my drawer for you, is a number 4 plate. And number 4 is the one that we use with our 3D embossing folders. The other really cool thing about this machine is that all the instructions are on the base platform for you. Okay, so we use this base platform with our thin dies. In fact, we use them with everything. Okay, it shows you if you want to use your embossing folder to insert it hinge first, use this sandwich, so number 1 and number 3. So you just use this base platform and a number 3 with your embossing folder in the middle of those 2 plates. Okay, and then if you're using your 3D embossing folders, you just use a base platform and this on top of your embossing. So it's all there written down for you. So we're just doing some die cutting. So your cutting plate will get damaged, and that is perfectly okay, though that's where the pressure will be applied to your die as it goes through the machine. So it will make these score marks, but you keep using it and using it and using it, and then eventually I will swap my top plate as the bottom plate and get a fresh top plate on top, because that does start to get marked as well, just from the pressure of the machine. Okay, so cutting plates are consumable items, but don't forget, if you place orders of more than £150, you will get 10% back in stamping rewards, which you could use to buy those kind of things. Okay, so you may have heard all that cracking and banging there, which was absolutely normal. That's what happens as the die goes through the machine and the pressure is applied to those plates. especially with open shapes like this. And there you have a beautiful die cut shape for you to use on your project. Very, very simple to do. Okay, and you just wind it through and you get your die cut shape. Okay, so they're ready to go, and then the only other bit to do is stamp out our lettering. Now I happen to be making a card for my dear papa, so we're going to do our D and our A, and then we'll have to run it through once more to get our second D. So I'm just going to lay that on my plate, which is just off to my right hand side here, off camera. The machine is a bit too big to bring underneath really. So I'm just going to wind those through, and then, so it's cut them so well, it's left them behind on the plate. Look, there we are, beautiful. So there's a D, there's my A. Get rid of these little bits, and then we'll do another D. Did you notice on the alphabet dies that there was outlines, so that you know exactly where your dies need to go back on the sheet? And also means you know you haven't lost any. It's really cool as well, that set, because you get multiples of the E, and you get punctuation marks as well, so it's a very, very versatile set there. So there we have our pieces, just like that, just like that. Okay, so we need to stick our lettering onto our little topper here. So I'm just going to bring in a silicone mat so that I don't get glue all over my work surface. So I am going to use my multi-purpose glue for this, and you only need a spot. It's really strong glue, this is, so don't go overboard, because it will just squidge out and make a mess, and you don't want that really. Okay, now there are ladies out there and gentlemen who advocate using tweezers for these things. If that's something that you need to do, then go ahead. I've opted to place my central letter first. You can do your end letters and then hope that there's enough space for the middle one. So depending on your project, you may find that it's easier to work outwards and then in, and then place your ones in between, so you can eyeball the gap. But the liquid glue just gives you just a bit of a few moments just to make sure that they're in the place that you want them to be in. Okay, and obviously that's going to take just a moment or two to dry completely. Okay, so we'll just give that a couple of seconds. In fact, what I should have done was done all of that first and then stuck my card together, isn't it really? But I was so excited to show you how simple it was. While that's just giving that a couple of seconds, I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. Dimensionals are fabulous, really, really good. Another brilliant thing to add if you've you know, use your Stampin' Rewards on. Okay, now I'm going to stick these so that they sort of bridge this piece of cardstock in the middle. That is just fractionally higher than the base card. Okay, and it will just lift it up from the rest of the card. If you really wanted to, we could double them up as well, and that just gives it an extra element. Shall we do that and just give you a bit of a compare on that while we're waiting for that to dry? So I'm just going to take the backings off these first ones, and if you just place another one on top of those, we'll end up with double the height. Okay, so we can take those off like so. And if you have trouble positioning things, or you want a little bit more time, with the dry adhesive like this. If you put a couple of spots of your liquid glue over the top and just lightly drop it down, you've just got that little bit of motion there while that wet glue is there over the surface of those dimensionals, just to get that into the place where you want it. There, looks okay from this angle. I'm sure you're going, no, left a bit, right a bit, up a bit. It's fine. Okay, and then this bit we can just add with some seal. So if I just go gently with that, I would normally have left those a little longer, but actually they're in place. It's okay. It does dry quite quickly, the multi-purpose glue. Okay, just checking I was in shot there. You do sometimes get these little threads of paper after a die cut, so just make sure you've got all those off. Just trying to get that stitching and those scallops equally spaced, and that, my friends, is it. And because it's a guy card, we're not adding any fuss and bother with any additional embellishments or anything. I'm just going to leave it nice and plain. Okay, if we had some you know, some blue baker's twine or something like that, I might have been tempted to put some on. But that's it. So I don't know whether you can appreciate the difference in the dimension there. If I turn that like so, okay, so just a little bit of dimension on the left, but you've got a little bit more on the right. Okay. The only thing with doubling them up is sometimes they can be a bit more visible on the side, but it kind of depends what look you're going for. Could always add a little bit of wink of Stella as well, just to because I think glitter's pretty unisex, to be honest. I reckon you can get away with glitter on a guy card, don't you? So we could just add those to the side of those, on top of those I should say, on the side. What am I talking about? Now, and then that will dry back, and you've got some glittery letters too, just to jazz it up a little bit. Okay, so really nice and simple project there, just layering designer series paper with coordinating cardstock to create a really simple card. As always, the links are in the description for you to go ahead and look in there and add anything to your basket should you wish to. Thanks ever so much for joining me today for this tutorial. Have a lovely week. I'll see you soon. Bye.